From all over the United States they come, filling the first regatta special in sports history. En route from Poughkeepsie, these stalwart oarsmen have a chance to stretch their legs. California. Wisconsin. Yale. Washington. MIT. Harvard. Princeton. Columbia. Cornell. Pennsylvania. Syracuse. Many of these men are getting their first view of the Rocky Mountains. And having flown from Los Angeles to greet their fellow oarsmen, UCLA. Perfect course. That is what Washington's Governor, Monsignor Walgren, told University of Washington President Dr. Allen when shown the plan for the great race as the two men talked in the garden of the governor's mansion in Olympia. Cradle of rowing. As race day nears, rival crews are shown carrying their beautifully fashioned shells out of the Washington boathouse. These are hallowed walls in American rowing. From this shell house came national and world championship crews in rowing coaches who were to revolutionize the sport. These delicately but strongly constructed shells, every one of them built in the loft of the crew quarters, are 61 feet long, weigh no more than 285 pounds, yet will permit 9 men totaling 1,600 pounds to drive the fragile little craft through the water at 11 to 12 miles per hour. For several days before the race, the crews turn out for final conditioning. Here's Columbia from New York pulling away from the float with their unorthodox layback stroke. California heads out into the lake for a practice spin. And the Washington Huskies rest on their oars. Then down the canal they drive again to perfect precision and timing. Harvard displaying its fine rowing form with smooth rhythmic strokes. Princeton driving forward with full steam up. The day's work is not finished until the shell is lifted from the water, wiped down, and stowed safely in its cradle. And of course, the well-known coaches. Ned Tenike, Syracuse, a famous name in rowing. Kai Ebright, California's great rowing leader. Dutch Schock, coach of the formidable Princeton boat. Rusty Callow, veteran head of the Pennsylvania Navy. Hugh Glendon, another traditional name in the sport from Columbia. Norman Sonju, able head of Wisconsin rowing. Tom Bowles, skipper of mighty Harvard. Stork Sanford, stylist from Cayuga's Waters, Cornell. Skip Walls, brilliant young leader at Yale. Jim McMillan, successful MIT coach. Bob Hillen and his assistant in charge of the UCLA shell. Al Ulbrichtson, Washington, one of the game's brightest coaching stars. Bud Rainey, University of Washington freshman coach. Joe Burke, former international sculling champion and assistant at Yale. Elmer Leader, the referee and famous ex-Husky oarsman. George Pocock, world-renowned master shell builder from Seattle. Here is a portion of the largest crowd ever assembled to witness a sporting event in the United States. One of the finest courses in the world is what visiting coaches call this beautiful strip of racing water along Lake Washington shores. Over 2,000 craft of every size, shape, and description line the course. Before the main event, speeding outboard, zip and zoom across the water at breathtaking speed. world-famous water skiers entertain the thousands of spectators with daredevil acrobatics. The four-man shells known as pickle boats race down the course and whet the crowd's appetite for the main event. What's this? Indians from tribes nearby and from across the border in Canada stage a grueling race in canoes fashioned from a single log, the same kind of boats used by their forefathers centuries ago. Who said crew racing is a new sport? And across the finish line, the victors. And now, as the 0 hour approaches, the crews make ready to launch their highly polished shells, which are all constructed exactly alike by the same builder and give every crew an equal chance in the exciting race to come. As the order is given to man the boats, they are placed in the water 3 at a time under ideal launching conditions. The oars are 12 feet 1 inch long and weigh approximately 8 1/3 pounds. These blades are delicately balanced and designed for drive, speed, power. The coxswains maneuver the shells. And now, up the course on review. Already, each spectator is selecting his favorite. Radio commentators are overhead preparing to describe the race to millions of listeners across the nation. Zero hour approaches. The 12 racing shells are jockeyed into position at the starting line and nudged up to the stake boats, and the moment is approaching that the well-trained sweepsters have been awaiting. The referee shouts his orders. Tension and excitement mount. Hearts are pounding now and hopes are beating high as the men listen for the starting signal. They're almost ready now. Steady, steady. They're off. Never in the history of rowing has there been a more thrilling start. 12 needle-nose prows knifing through the quiet waters at 36 to 40 strokes per minute, each boat fighting hard for that early advantage. And now they drop their stroke to a steadier racing beat, as low as 32 strokes per minute, driving forward nose to nose as the coaches and referees' launches follow astern. Stroke, stroke, stroke. The coxswains drive their men on. Now it's Yale forging ahead as they swing into the first half mile of the race. Yale takes the lead, but Washington in the center and Pennsylvania on the outside are hanging tight. It's a fast race and a close one so far. The pace is terrific now, and the stragglers are dropping back as Harvard comes up fast with a series of Big Tens. And it's a grand fight for the lead as they head for home. The little coxswains bobbing in the stern, the naked bodies of the finely conditioned men bending and swaying in the sunlight. Look at Harvard putting on the pressure, sprinting for the finish line. Yes, it's the Crimson of Harvard, driving their shell forward and leading the parade as they cross the finish line. Right behind, fighting all the way in second place, is the high-stroking Yale crew. The Washington Huskies are third. The time for Harvard's race was 5 minutes and 49 seconds, which broke the world's record for still water racing. To the champion Harvard crew goes the handsome trophy presented by Governor Waldron of the state of Washington. And, of course, as a penalty for getting a free ride, the winning coxswain is dunked by his crew. Dripping wet from his ducking, but mighty happy. And Tom Bowles, the victorious coach, is mighty happy, too. And so the end of a perfect day of rowing as the multitude heads for home, chattering of the thrills of one of the greatest regattas ever held since the Roman galleons sailed the seas centuries ago.